Les he invitado a la feria creo que nos toca el 10 a los institutos privados, va a ser en la Avenida Cívica. Si se den una vueltita, good, si no, no importa, tranquilos nomás. En años anteriores nos hubieran ayudado a, no sé, con las personas que nos visitan, pero si tienen amigos, please tell them to go by there and be curious and ask. ¿Ya? Como ustedes ya van a salir, entonces la metodología, todo eso. Okay. So that's the activity we'll be having this week. Tan rápido. Oh, it's scary. It's really scary. It's so fast. Oh. Ya, así por si acaso. Y ya saben, este bimestre va a ser hasta the 24th. The 24th I have to give the grades. Ya, las notitas. Y les debo muchas cosas por mostrarles. Ya, por favor, be patient with me. No había subido la unidad 6, Unit 6 Writing. Se me rayó mi disco y les estoy dando hasta el miércoles, por si acaso. Ya, from school, remember? The two, you have to choose one introduction to continue. Esto faltaría. Pero ya está en el Google Classroom. And that's it, okay? So let's continue with this. We are, how many? Yeah, I think it's a good number. Let's listen and practice.
IELTS Masterclass by Simon Haynes and Peter May. Published in copyright Oxford University Press 2006. CD2. Unit 8. Page 99. Listening. IELTS Practice. Questions 1 to 10. You will hear part of a lecture about a website. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good afternoon. I'm Jenny Ironbridge, and today I'm going to be continuing my series of talks on information technology by looking at an innovative information source available on the internet. I'm sure you're all familiar with the strengths and weaknesses of the popular search engines like Google or Yahoo. Sometimes you can find what you're looking for instantly. At other times, searching for something which may or may not exist can be a frustrating and time-consuming experience. So, where can you go to get the information you want? The information source I want to talk about is called Wikipedia. As its name suggests, it's a form of encyclopedia. It's already the largest information source in history, both in terms of its breadth and its depth. But what makes Wikipedia really unique is that it's a democratic project. The content is completely free to access, and it's written entirely by unpaid volunteers. Changes and additions are being made all the time to articles which exist already, but it's also possible to contribute whole new articles. And basically, anyone can contribute once they've grasped the basics of editing the pages. Let's look at how someone goes about editing Wikipedia articles. It's a very straightforward procedure which has been made deliberately easy so that people who have contributions to make are not discouraged from participating because of their limited understanding of information technology. Let's start by imagining that we are reading an article and we come across information that we consider to be incorrect or incomplete on a page of Wikipedia. First of all, we decide we'd like to change it. To do this, we click on the Edit button at the top of the page. This takes us to another page with a text box containing all the editable text on that page. It's at this point that we can input our changes in exactly the same way as we would if we were writing or editing a document we had created on our own computer. In other words, we can type, cut and paste, delete, and use all the normal word processing functions. When this has been done, and we've finished editing, we are then asked to summarize the changes we've made. This doesn't go into the main text box, but into a separate area below it. That's the main part of the process over with, but we need to make sure that the changes we've made are going to appear as we want them. A last check, if you like. In order to do this, we select the preview option. If we're still not satisfied, we have the option of returning to the edit stage and working through the same procedure again. Finally, if we're satisfied with the result, we simply click on Save, and our changes will take immediate effect. A question that might already be forming in your mind if you are not familiar with Wikipedia is this: how can I tell whether information is accurate? This particular point has led to criticism from some people, especially academics and professionals. The short answer is that you can't tell. But if you think about it, how can you check the accuracy of information you read in a conventional encyclopedia, or in a newspaper, or on other internet websites? Besides, it's possible for contributors to Wikipedia to register with the organisation and, as named contributors, gradually build up a reputation for themselves as reliable sources of information. The other point to be aware of is that there are administrators who monitor contributions that are added by anonymous sources and check for biased, out-of-date or incorrect information. One of the problems that arises from the openness of Wikipedia is that vandals have got into the site to change and damage pages of information. So the administrators have a role in policing this too. Lastly, Wikipedia encourages editors to stick to certain rules, which help ensure the quality of entries. For example, contributors are expected to maintain a neutral tone in their writing, although perhaps it's impossible to be completely neutral. Also, entries are not allowed to include original research, which is intended to prevent contributors from simply submitting their own views. It's unlikely that the more conventional information sources will ever be completely replaced by Wikipedia or similar projects which may be developed in the future. But this is an ambitious experiment to democratize information, using modern technology to enable anyone and everyone to contribute to and access a common body of knowledge. And because it's free, it doesn't restrict access to those with the ability to pay.
Ready, everybody? It was a lot of information, but you are incredible. What information source is Wikipedia similar to? Okay, so we have an answer here. Well, what information source is Wikipedia similar to? Well, in other words, is an encyclopedia. Yeah. The answer here is an encyclopedia. Okay. Who are the authors of Wikipedia?
Volunteers.
Yes.
Eight.
Yes, unpaid volunteers. Anyone can be Wikipedia writer. Now, number 3 here is
Repeating.
Input. Input. Number 4.
Summarize.
Summarize. Very good. Number 5. Excuse me. Number 5.
The previous.
Yes, very good. Preview. Number 5, or option. Option. If you got that. Preview option. 6.
Click save.
Yes. So if you omitted click, no problem. Click on save is correct. And it says summary completion. Number 7 is number 1. Critics of Wikipedia has focused on the question of accuracy. Okay. 8. Number 8. Some contributors are registered with that site, and over time they're able to improve their
Reputation.
yes, reputation. There are also administrators who carry out checks on entries and prevent
Vandalism.
yes, vandalism. Other policies to maintain high standards include a rule that entries should aim at
Neutrality.
yes, neutrality. So as you can see, the information was a bit more complicated. So here in number 3 to discuss, it says, what subjects on Wikipedia could you make relevant contribution to? You as a person, as someone that knows a lot of. So what subjects on Wikipedia could you make relevant contribution to? You as individuals. What are you good at and you know really well? Anything? There's art. I mean, there is a lot of subjects in encyclopedia. It's endless. So which you would make relevant contribution to?
Miss,
Yes.
in my profession, maybe I could contribute with pictures of histologic images,
Very
because in
nice.
Wikipedia there is a few images.
Very nice, very good. Of course, about your career and what is truth, and you can explain. Right on, very nice. Anyone else that would like to share what relevant contributions you would do? Anything relevant? All of you might have something special. Just think about that. And B, who or what might feel threatened if democratic information sources like Wikipedia gain in popularity? Who or what might feel threatened if democratic information sources like Wikipedia gain in popularity? Uh, you know, WikiLeaks, right? The problem that they had with the information of governmental information of how United States and other governments work. And that type of information was really dangerous to know, maybe for some governments. So to know the type of information we should be, there should be requirements because maybe we don't understand much. So the threaten, o sea, amenazados threaten if democratic information sources could uh, be really, I don't know, scared of it would be secret organizations. Like imagine all the information of the FBI or governments or corporations. So for people not to know their secrets to the world, right? Just imagine that. Like, the las cuentas around the world, the accounts that many rich people put their money in, not to pay taxes. So could you believe who, what bank, where is that information? It's really, really threatened for anybody. So, big people that very important companies that have a lot of money feel like that. Could feel like that. And secret organizations in Bolivia, there are secret organizations. I didn't know that, but recently I was reading like a pamphlet about what you don't know about Bolivia, and it's the Secret Service, the police, how they work, and it's really interesting. Like we're surrounded by spies because our country is really conflicting. And this article says that maybe you're buying oranges at the market, and you just see common people. You are common, nothing happens. It's, no problem. And suddenly there is something wrong, like a robbery, maybe an explosion, maybe someone was killed, something like that, and you're there in the action, and uh, people just start to run or scream, but there's always someone from the police force that is a detective or is undercover, and they analyze who was there. And so it was interesting to read. Like we're not alone. We're not alone. Even if they say there are cameras around and the police is never there, they say, well, I don't know, but it said the article, we're always there. We're surrounding popular places, markets, banks, and there are many spies. And I was like, okay, so please, okay. I was really shocked. So imagine that information on Wikipedia and with details of who are the spies, what do they do, the ways they I don't know, they attack So many things that we can know, but the information is limited, right? Like WikiLeaks, they wanted everybody to know everything, but they had some problems also with the government. So just feel like that. Who would feel threatened? And oh man, it's scary. It's scary to know everything too. Yeah, what's going on in the world. Do you have anything else to say with B? I don't know if you had any experience about this. Nothing? But we're surrounded. We are. Okay. So, well, we don't have much questions. And we have what time? Well, we have time. And we have the speech. We're just going to do the introduction. See, speaking, language, writing, yeah. So, como siempre. So we have these two questions to discuss. And the first one is, which of the things shown in the photographs have you done? And how did people do these things before these modern devices became available? What can you say?
Don't all,
Hello, hello.
uh, I don't all things the
You okay? Okay, very good. You've done all things. Now, how did people do these things before these modern devices became available? How did people do these things? How? Well, you're not that generation, but just imagine how did people do these things? Like the first one, write, search, doing a job, something like that.
Means we had to go to the library. We
Yes,
have to go to buy newspapers to put information to obtain information.
very
And
good.
we had to write on a machine, writing machine, not electrical,
Yes,
physical.
yeah, typing machine, like click, 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 click. Yes. What else? What about chatting? What did we do to communicate with other people?
We had to call our friends
Yes, we had landlines, vehicles.
or to write letters in a paper, on a piece of
Very,
paper, and send through the police, to the post office.
yes, to the post office. Very good. Yes, very, very nice. How did we listen to music back then?
listen to radio.
Cassettes. Yes, we had to have big cassette recorders.
The radio.
Yes, the radio too. All right. So the third one, I don't know what it is. I think it's a, ¿qué se llamaban esas cositas? The third picture. Do you remember? ¿Qué se llamaban?
MP3.
MP3s? Yeah, I think so. So that would be our cassettes, our CDs, our long plays, those LPs. One thing that reminds me, permission. I remember that if you said to your mom or dad, I'll be home at 7, you had to be home at 7. You couldn't be late. And if you had to stay longer, you had to call and say, Mom, Dad, I'm staying a bit longer. And your parents were freaking out, like they were really worried. No, how could you stay? Let me talk with the mother. Where are you? Let me talk with a grown up, con un adulto. Let me talk. That's what my parents did. So if I had to stay longer and my friend didn't have a phone, so we had to go to the a la tiendita de barrio that had telephone. So we had to call, we had to pay like 50 cents, and I had to ask for permission. Mom, Dad, I'm staying half an hour more. No, you cannot. Let me talk with a grown up, con un adulto. We have to talk. And it was really complicated. So we had a margin. Yeah, if I had to be at 7, so I had to 7:30. If I wasn't at 7:30, my parents were at the street, at the door of my house, or walking around the area looking for me. And it was horrible because when they saw me and I was coming late, it was, where were you? You had to be at 7:30 at home. And all my neighbors knew that I was late. So you had to be really honest with your parents. Well, that was some cases of my friends. And so with this WhatsApp and everything, it's really different because I know some students change their chips, their numbers. So their parents are calling and never answer because they have another chip. So that's bad. Don't do that to your parents. Yeah. So it was really hard. It wasn't hard. It was natural to be a good girl or a good boy. You have to always tell your parents where you were. So we're gonna listen to this part to finish. And it says speculating about the future. We're going to listen to people answering more abstract questions about how they see IT development in the future. Listen and match each speaker's answer with one of these questions. So read the questions carefully and I'll put play. Okay? Read it carefully if you have any questions. So we're gonna hear 3 speakers. Okay, and you need to match. Let's do this.
Unit 8, page 100. Speaking 2. Listen and match each speaker's answer with the questions A to C. Speaker 1.
That's a big question. Obviously, modern technology makes our lives easier in many ways and gives us more leisure time than we've ever had. But there are more things to worry about than there were in the past, and stress levels are higher than they used to be. I think this can only get worse. In fact, I'd say it's fairly unlikely that technology itself will make us happier. It may make people expect more out of life and then feel disappointed because the reality doesn't live up to their expectations.
Speaker 2.
I think it's quite likely that many more people will work from home in the future. To some extent, this is already happening. I suppose this will probably mean that there'll be less need for large offices in the centre of cities as more and more employees access their computers from their homes.
Speaker 3.
As I see it, it all depends on individuals. I don't think that the technology itself will change our behaviour or somehow stop us wanting to spend time with our friends and other people. On the other hand, a lot of people seem to want to shut the world out by spending a lot of time listening to music through headphones or playing computer games. If this continues, it could result in more people feeling lonely and isolated.
All right, so we have 10 minutes. Let's answer. So A, who says that? Who answers that?
Number 1.
No. A was speaker 2. Okay. Speaker 2 was A. B was which speaker?
3.
Yes, 3. 3. So C was 1. Okay, so we have that in mind. We have 9 minutes. We have enough time to do this. It says, listen again and tick which of these expressions speakers use to speculate about the future. Let's listen one more time.
Unit 8, page 100. Speaking 2. Listen and match each speaker's answer with the questions A to C. Speaker 1.
That's a big question. Obviously, modern technology makes our lives easier in many ways and gives us more leisure time than we've ever had. But there are more things to worry about than there were in the past, and stress levels are higher than they used to be. I think this can only get worse. In fact, I'd say it's fairly unlikely that technology itself will make us happier. It may make people expect more out of life and then feel disappointed because the reality doesn't live up to their expectations.
Speaker 2.
I think it's quite likely that many more people will work from home in the future. To some extent, this is already happening. I suppose this will probably mean that there'll be less need for large offices in the centre of cities as more and more employees access their computers from their homes.
Speaker 3.
As I see it, it all depends on individuals. I don't think that the technology itself will change our behaviour or somehow stop us wanting to spend time with our friends and other people. On the other hand, a lot of people seem to want to shut the world out by spending a lot of time listening to music through headphones or playing computer games. If this continues, it could result in more people feeling lonely and isolated.
All right. So, which expressions? Which? Which expressions they used about the future? Nothing? Oh, come on. Don't remember?
Is the second?
I think it's quite likely that yes. Yes, I'm going to put yes, a tick. Then what else do you have?
I'd say it's fairly unlikely that.
Yes, correct. Then
If this continues, it could.
yes. This continues. Then
This will probably mean that.
this will probably mean that yes. You have two more. Excuse me?
It all depends on.
Very good. And one more.
This is all that I have.
This can only get worse. That's it. This can only get worse. Okay. So those are the 7 points they mentioned. I mean 6. The expressions to speculate about the future. Okay, so in tomorrow topic discussion, we have this. In speaking part 3, the examiner will ask you about more abstract aspects of a topic. Work with another student, discuss some of these questions using speculating expressions from the list. So you can use any, but it has to be from the list. Not all the time say, I think, como disco rayador. It's too tiring to hear that. So use other expressions. You have 3 to talk about: rights and wrongs, money, creativity. Yeah, if you read all of them, your mind wanders and begins to say what type of answers, how you really want to be, I don't know, how you really want to understand this, not be, understand and verbalize it and express. Yeah. Do you have any questions to this point? No problem. Okay, so I'm letting you go because tomorrow we'll be speaking. Y me va a dar una locurita más hacer también con ustedes, no se van a asustar. Okay, so don't worry about the TOEFL. Estoy revisando lo ultimito, please. And chicos, ojalá que esta semana me pongan mi vacuna. Ojalá esté haciendo cachitos. Y si el caso, porque todos me están diciendo que, o sea, las que les ha tocado que, o sea, bota, que no te van a hacer, va a ser lío, que te vas a podrir, man, y que esto que lo otro. Vamos a pasar igual clases. Y estoy así, me dice, muriéndome si me ponen. Si me aguantan, thank you for your patience. Pero les voy a ir informando, ¿ok? Y si tienen algún problema con los horarios, están volviendo a la facultad, porque tengo algunos alumnitos que sí están volviendo, por favor, me hacen conocer. Ya no se olviden eso, please. Thank you so much, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, me.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Miss.
you.
Bye, Miss.
Thank you.
Bye, Miss.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Miss.
Bye.